Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth Heinz and welcome to Coast Connections. Tonight we're celebrating a 200-year-old maple tree. It's our special guest tonight. We're going to be celebrating it through artistry and beauty that will continue with this tree in 200 more years to come. Our guests tonight on set are John Lohr from Live Edge Design in Duncan. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
And Courtney Zylstra from the Bateman Foundation Gallery of Nature. Now, this is an amazing partnership. The two of you organizations have come together to celebrate oneTree on the oneTree project. And Robert Bateman in his book, I think it was Think Like a Mountain, said, if a tree falls in the forest and no man is there to hear it, does it still make a sound? And he said, yes, the owls hear it, the moles hear it, the mice hear it, the pileated woodpeckers hear it. So, and we're going to hear all about this oneTree tonight and the amazing history of it. So thanks for coming in. And Courtney, this is the third year for oneTree?
Yep, this is the third year.
You had oneTree 2015.
2017, and now this year 2019, and then hopefully a 2021 as well.
So it's a biannual project.
It's a biennial exhibit, yes.
John, the tree that you harvested this year with Live Edge Design, I understand it was one of the biggest trees that you've had in the 3 years.
Yeah, it's definitely a big tree. The trunk weighed about 40,000 pounds.
Wow.
And that's about a third of the tree. Of course, the canopy and the root make up the rest of it.
And so this beautiful big leaf maple is being turned into wonderful pieces of art. Courtney, how many artists are participating in this?
Currently we have over 70 artists, a couple that work together as partners, and then the rest are all on their own. We do have a few of the artists making more than one piece, so we have somewhere around over 80 pieces this year.
Wow.
Anything from musical instruments to furniture. There's a bed, a queen-size bed, and then of course there's more conceptual sculptures and wall hangings, some pieces with glass. There's all sorts of diverse, beautiful works this year.
Wonderful. And John, the tree that was selected this year, that I think was 2 years ago that had to be harvested, was it?
That's one of the reasons that we only do it every 2 years, because usually about this time, just before the show, we say, well, we're never doing this again. And then, you know, the show's so amazing that we reconsider, but then we have to hurry up and get a tree. It takes a year to find a tree and mill it and get it dry. And then you need to let the artists have a few months to build some stuff out of it.
Totally. Now, John, we've got a video of your Live Edge Design Studio that we're going to show.
Great.
And it will just show like why it takes 2 years to have this done. So let's take a look inside your amazing studio, which I had the pleasure of visiting a couple of months ago. And it's like a woodpecker's wood shop. I mean, it's just a magical place. And the designers you have there and the staff, just top notch. So let's take a look at the video, John.
Sure.
And you can just talk us through this a bit, through this symphony of wood.
Sure. Well, first of all, we mostly use big leaf maple. So we're comfortable doing that, and we try and use all local salvaged big leaf maple. A lot of it comes from people's homes or small acreages when they have trees that come down in wood or in windstorms. Once we get it to the shop, we mill it, and it takes about 9 months to get it dry. We air dry it for a little while and then kiln dry it. The next step is to find a customer for it, and they love coming and picking out their own piece of wood. Because we work a lot with large slabs, we'll leave the knots and the cracks and things like that in it, try and turn them into part of the piece, more of an opportunity, we call them, than a defect. Yeah, we do all kinds of custom furniture, but our main line is tables and countertops. We use a lot of resin and glass to cover some of the voids that are left by bark pockets or cracks.
Beautiful.
There's another happy customer at the end, which is good to see.
That's beautiful. That is remarkable. Yeah. And John, you brought in this beautiful piece of maple. If we can just lift that up. I just want viewers to see intricate beauty in this piece. Now, this is from the actual maple that is being used for oneTree 2019.
That's right.
The 200-year-old one.
The 200-year-old tree. So this maple was rotten in the middle, and that's typical for a dying maple. 200 years is actually a lot longer than they usually live. So if you can picture this trunk that was about 10 feet in diameter, the middle few feet was rotted out, which is why we don't really know how old it is. It's at least 200 years old. And then the wood from there gets slowly more rotten as you move to the outside. Why we call this the live edge is that that's the growing part of the tree. Every year it adds a new growth line, but only on the outside. And then after a few years, it turns into heartwood. There's no sap flowing anymore, and that leaves it vulnerable to insect and microbe attack. So what's really fun about maple is that there's a little battle going on between the fungi that's eating the center of the tree away and moving to the outside, and other fungus that are more friendly to the tree that lay down this black line of defense here. On one side you have fairly healthy wood, and on the other side it's fairly compromised wood. And so we're just trying to show that balance and the beautiful colors and shapes and figures that it shows off.
It's a piece of art just as a piece of wood, John. It's just stunning. And when you pointed out the line of defense there, it almost looks like our cartographer's map. That, in fact, I see Vancouver Island on there too, right, right below your chin.
Seattle's down here somewhere.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And now, John, that's a piece you're working on for the exhibit?
Yeah, I'm making a coffee table this year. I usually do a dining suite, but there was this absolutely gorgeous chunk of wood that had all these contours in it, and the colors and the figure, and none of the other artists chose it. So I thought I had to do something with it. So I sliced it into 12 slices and kind of spread them apart. This is one of them. But it looks just like the floor of the ocean, which is appropriate for the history of this tree.
Yes, we'll talk about the history of the tree in a second. Courtney, this is a beautiful example of the type of wood that your artists get to play with.
Yes.
Now, how are they selected, the artists?
So we, myself and John and a couple of other artists who have been in past oneTrees make up the jury, and we carefully read them through, and I'd say that it is hard to make the decision, and we don't say no too often, to be honest. We're pretty just happy that so many artists want to be involved in this project. One of the things we look for, though, is we give them the story of the tree quite early. So we do grade it, and there's a part that we focus on where we want them to have talked about, somehow worked it into the story, or their piece is to talk about the story of the tree.
Very interesting. And Courtney, you've got artists from quite a range.
Yeah, this year we have a artist from California, and we have a couple of artists from Calgary. We have an artist from Nova Scotia, and then all over BC, and actually even Ontario as well. There's an artist.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger each year, which is really exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
John, let's talk about the history of this tree, because it is remarkable. This 200-year-old maple tree found in a farmer's field in Chemainus in a peat bog there. Take us back.
Well, the tree started its life somewhere around 1800. At that time, there were no Europeans living in that area, so it was the Halalt nation that inhabited there, and there was a good-sized population. Nobody really knows how many, but the tree is right beside the Chemainus River, which is a big source of salmon. Not like it used to be, but it had a massive runs, and so supported a large population. Anyway, somewhere around 1860, it got surveyed, and the first European owner was Captain Edward Hope Verney, who was with the Royal Navy. And of course, this is before Canada. was.
Exactly. 1867 was when Canada was formed.
And so it would have been the Queen of England that signed over that property. And I think it was probably pretty common for them to give away lands around the empire somewhere to retiring Navy captains.
Right.
So that's what I think happened in that area. So anyway, for a few $100, he got hundreds of acres around the Chemainus Valley, and was cohabitating with the Halalt people. I pulled all the historic titles of the property, and so there is a lot of rabbit holes to go down. One of the more interesting was there's a guy in the 40s, Ralph Meisner was his name, and he owned the property for a little while. He disappeared, and they searched the property. They couldn't find him. They waited 7 years for him to come back, and finally sold the property. The new owner discovered Ralph, his skeleton sitting down by the river with his hat beside him and his false teeth still in his hat.
Okay.
So it was a mystery as to why no one had found him before.
Yeah.
And, why he didn't get washed away by the river in flood.
Let's talk about the history connected with Captain Charles Barkley.
That's one of the most interesting ones, and I probably spent a week following little threads of this. But in the late 1800s, the property was owned by Captain Barkley, and he was he was in his late 80s, and his house caught on fire. And he ran back into the house 3 times. The 3rd time he didn't come out again. And it turned out that the reason that he had been trying to save something from his house was that his grandmother's diary was in there. And it turns out that his grandmother was probably the first woman to sail around the world. And it was just an utterly fascinating story. When she was 17, in about 1768, she married Captain Barkley's grandfather, who was also a Captain Barkley. And he went, he was 27, he married the 17-year-old daughter of a minister, and within a month of having met her, they had married and set sail on a ship called the Imperial Eagle, and they sailed to Vancouver Island. And this is about 7 or 8 years after Captain Cook, who had been the first European to set foot on the island. Captain Cook had discovered that the sea otter pelts were extremely lucrative if you could get them to market in China. So that was what had interested Barkley. He had a financial backer named Mears.
Another familiar name here on the coast.
Yeah, there's a Mears Island out at Tofino. So anyway, they were successful in getting their otter pelts, but the ship they were on, they had been flying Austrian flags so that they didn't have to pay a portion of their take to the English East India Company, who had a trading monopoly in England at the time.
Tax dodgers.
Tax dodgers, yeah. But amazingly, so they're out in the middle of, the new world when there was hardly anyone else around. And who shows up in Nootka the day after they get there but an English East India ship. And so they at once knew they were flouting the laws of the day, and so Captain Barkley had to flee. He went around Vancouver Island, proving that it was an island, which Captain Cook had said it wasn't. And he named a bunch of places along the way. Hornby Island was named after his wife. It's her middle name. Barkley Sound. He even named the Strait of Juan de Fuca the Strait of Juan de Fuca. So anyway, he got enough otter pelts eventually, went to China, sold them, and then picked up a new cargo, went to Mauritius, and there the East India Company was waiting for him. They confiscated his ship and his logs and his maps and absolutely everything.
And his wife, they had, what, 7 children by now? They were sailing around the world together?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
So every year another child came along, and she lost one along the way, but they had 7 children by the end. So they're 7 little kids, and they're stuck with penniless, with no transportation. Eventually they got back to England, and they petitioned the king. Oh, they found out that Mears had claimed that he had done the voyage.
Exactly.
And so he had renamed all the places, submitted the maps and the logs as if they were his own.
Yeah.
And they arrived back, and no one would believe them. But they petitioned the king using Francis's diary, which she had kept dutifully every day. And thus they were able to restore their fame and fortune and honor.
That's amazing. And that diary, John, that was buried under the maple tree at some point, was it not?
It was in the house.
It was in the house.
Which was next to the maple tree.
Okay. And that's the house that burned down.
That's
that
right.
Charles Edward Barclay ran back into to rescue the diary.
That's right. So that's why it was so important to him, because it was the source of his family's honor. Really.
Totally. So this maple tree was the one that was outside the Barclays' home all those many years, 200 years ago. Fascinating. It's amazing.
The tree was in a really remarkable location because the E&N Railway was in sight of it, just a few hundred yards away, as was the first island highway, the railroad track from Mount Sicker, which was at one point the second most populous town on the island, which is now a ghost town.
Yeah.
But the mines up there, the railway went right by this tree, so lots of action.
Yeah, lots of action. This is fascinating. Now, Courtney, the exhibition runs when and how long?
So the opening day is November 16th, so just a couple weeks away. And during that day, we will be admission by donation, so anyone can come down and see the exhibit that day. We will have a musician playing some of the instruments. We will have a bunch of the artists there to talk about their work. There's also a short play that one of the artists wrote about it, so that will also be happening, and of course we'll be there as well for the day. And then the exhibit runs until February 29th, as we're in a leap year this year, and so it's
Get an extra day.
Yes, one extra day.
And you mentioned the instruments, and maple is known as tone wood because of its wonderful acoustic qualities when it's put into any kind of guitar or woodwind instrument. So that'll be really exciting to see.
Yes, it will be.
The instruments that are produced from this.
Yeah, and the sound that they'll produce as well.
Now, Courtney, part of the proceeds of this are going to go to help fund the Bateman Foundation Gallery of Art.
Yes.
The wonderful educational programs that you have there. Tell us a little bit about some of the programs, including the sketch club.
Yeah, the nature sketch.
Nature sketch.
Yeah, so the proceeds, part of the proceeds from the sale of the pieces do go to our programming. One of them also, of course, also goes to the Gallery of Nature, which works really hard to also connect people to nature through the exhibits that we carefully choose throughout the year, including oneTree. And then of course it also goes to our programming, and Nature Sketch is probably our most successful program. It's a nationwide program where it works really hard to connect children and adults to nature, and how they do that is they go into nature with an artist and a naturalist, and they learn about their local ecosystem and their neighbors, as Robert Bateman would say, their birds and what's in their backyard, but they do it through observation and through sketching, and that just correlates directly with Robert Bateman's mission, which is to have the next generation be really connected to nature so that they know that they should preserve it and that it's special, and to really take care of it, and also just recognize the health associations with being in nature and how important that is. And it's a good reminder for adults as well, because we often forget that.
Yeah, so. And we're spending more and more time online or indoors.
Exactly.
And the healing and restorative power of nature is something that we are wired for.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and so again, even having an exhibit like oneTree, it really reminds people, like, look at this amazing work that people have done, and it's all from a tree, like, oh, what's a tree? Oh, I should go go for a walk. I forgot about those trees," or
Yeah.
you know, and it just kind of gets people connected with nature again.
And I think through your Nature Sketch program also, you're reaching out to youth at risk.
Yeah, we are. We work with, I believe it's Anxiety BC, and we work with other, you know, just like other education teachers and other schools, and all across Canada as well. We run it in Toronto. We run it all across BC and other parts of Ontario as
Wonderful.
well, and the prairies.
It's rolling out nationwide.
Yep.
And I noticed on your website today that actually you're hiring.
Yeah, we're
in
always
Saskatoon
looking.
and
We're
Toronto.
always looking to expand it as far as we can within Canada, because I think it's just such a invaluable program to bring to big communities and small communities. So.
And one of the pieces we should mention is the piece that Robert Bateman's doing with his son John.
Yeah.
a
So
collaboration.
yeah, they're doing a collaboration father and son piece. I just saw it the other day. It's going to be a really beautiful piece. I won't give too much away, but.
And on our coffee table, Courtney, you brought a couple of beautiful otters.
Yeah, so
that
these
were
are made from this year's oneTree, the maple. It's an artist actually who was in our 2017 oneTree project, and they're really beautiful pieces and they're really popular. We sell them in our gift shop. So we also have a gift shop in the Gallery of Nature, and it carries all local artists and artisan work. And we always carry work from artists from the oneTree project as well. So there'll be, you know, you can come and see the exhibit, and then you can take a piece of the tree home with you if you wanted to purchase something from this year's oneTree. So we've got really cool items like this, and then there's pens and there's jewelry. There's really beautiful work for the gift shop this year. So
Wonderful.
with Christmas coming around the corner, I think it's a good spot to stop.
What a great.
Can I throw a little thing in about the otters?
Please do.
You otter.
They were made by Nigel Atkin, and he's a bit of a philosopher. At the time, you know, that he was doing these for the last oneTree, all he made was otters. And when I asked him about that, he said that his ambition was to get the otters in a movie so that he could phone his mom and say, "Mom, I finally got the otters in a movie." So this is pretty close. I think he would be really pleased.
If his mom's watching. And I must say, these otters are as smooth as velvet. I don't know how he got them this smooth, but they feel like an otter pelt. Like that is remarkable craftsmanship. Beautiful, beautiful work. Yeah, that's lovely. Now, John, the maple tree is a symbol of endurance and strength. And this tree, like you use part of the stump, the trunk, the branches. Is there anything new growing out of the stump now? Because maple trees often reproduce, even when they've been cut down.
Yeah, it's called coppicing. If you cut a maple, it will grow up in 30 different shoots, and eventually some will die off, and one or two will become a tree. So one of the artists was doing some weaving. She asked if I had any really small, supple branches, and of course I didn't.
Yeah.
So I went back in the spring of this year, and there was already some pieces that were 6 feet long that had grown just in the last month before I cut them. Probably, I took a few of those, and hopefully they're going to be in her weaving.
That's remarkable.
Almost like a ghost of the tree.
Yes, that's right. I will not be destroyed. Yeah. He's living on in all these amazing different ways, plus producing new shoots as we speak. That's amazing. Yeah. And obviously the maple leaf is our national symbol on our flag, a symbol of unity, peace, and tolerance. And I think that's beautiful. It's a lovely symbol. And this artwork is also a symbol of unity, peace, and tolerance as well, with all the different and varied artists that you have here. And yeah, it's really exciting.
For me, the oneTree project has always been about 3 pillars, and one of them is celebrating the life of the tree, and another is showcasing the amount of great art talent that we have in Vancouver Island and around BC and across the continent now. And the third being that we want to demonstrate the potential economic value and social value that you can get from one single tree that would have otherwise been firewood.
And firewood, it would be such a shame for such a sentinel like this, isn't it true?
Yep.
Yeah. Courtney, if you can just show us the booklet that you produced from last year's oneTree.
So this is the exhibit guide from last year, and we will produce pretty much the exact same thing for this year's exhibit as well. And then we just sell these for a small fee at the door, basically. Yeah.
And that has pictures and exhibits of each of the artists and what they created.
Yep. So this
it's a wonderful
there's
keepsake.
John, there's yours from last year. Yeah. So it's a really great keepsake, as you say.
Hold that up, the John's from last year.
Yeah.
Just at point.
I was like, I don't know.
Oh, the dining set.
Yeah, this is the dining set
Wow.
is there. There's just various other pieces from other, like you can just kind of see the diversity of what is created. You know, there's some furniture. This fellow is in it again this year. His piece just arrived from Nova Scotia the other day, actually. Yeah, so there's such a wide range of all sorts of different pieces that are made. So it's a really great takeaway. We do a print copy, and then we also do a digital copy as well that will go out online as well. So even you can look at it when you go home if you're visiting Victoria.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And the onetreeproject.ca is the website that has all the information that viewers need to learn more about this project. And John, are you looking to harvest anything for 2021 oneTree? If viewers have a tree in mind?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm still in the I'm never doing this again phase.
Me too.
But we'll probably be looking for a tree, you know, in January. One of the things that Live Edge does is take a tree that's come down on somebody's property and make something for them out of it.
Right.
We also advocate with architects and developers that they should be trying to take trees that they have to take down for their projects and incorporate them into their projects. And
like
so
that.
we will assist with that.
Nice.
And of course, if there's a tree that's pretty good size, that has a really interesting history and is down already or has to come down for safety reasons, then that would make a good oneTree.
And just want to mention that it was for safety reasons that this beautiful 200-year-old maple had to come down. Yeah. So thank you for keeping us safe. And thank you for helping to create all these beautiful, beautiful works of art. It's so heartening to see this. And I can't wait to visit the exhibition, and it'll run for 3 solid months or so.
Yeah.
So good luck with this. I'm so proud of what you're doing, and the money that you're raising for a really good cause to connect people with nature. Thank you to you both. Look forward to the exhibition. Thank you for watching, and I hope you get down to the oneTree exhibit at the Bateman Foundation Gallery of Nature in Victoria. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on Coast Connections.